Before smartphones. Before video games. Before streaming services and social media. There was a different childhood in Italy. A childhood where the streets were louder than the television. Where grandparents knew every child in the neighborhood. Where dinner was never eaten alone. And where the greatest adventure could begin with nothing more than a bicycle and a few good friends. Ask many older Italians about their childhood, and they rarely talk about expensive toys. They remember simple things. Running through village squares. The smell of fresh bread from the bakery. Church bells ringing across town. Long summer evenings that seemed to last forever. Many of those small traditions have quietly disappeared. Today we're taking a journey back to discover 25 forgotten things every Italian child once did before modern technology changed family life forever. The day usually started early. Long before children reached for a phone or turned on a television, they heard sounds that have almost disappeared from daily life. The church bells. A neighbor opening wooden shutters. Someone sweeping the sidewalk. The local baker unloading fresh bread. An old scooter making its way through narrow streets. The entire neighborhood slowly woke up together. Breakfast was simple. Milk. Coffee with plenty of milk for older children. Bread with butter or jam. Sometimes homemade cake. Nobody expected endless choices. Families ate what they had. Then children hurried outside. One forgotten tradition was walking to school. Parents rarely drove their children. Groups of friends met along the street. The group grew larger with every corner. Older children looked after younger ones. By the time everyone reached school, half the neighborhood had walked together. School itself was strict. Teachers expected respect. Children stood when answering questions. Homework mattered. Good manners mattered even more. After school came the part many older Italians remember most. Freedom. Children rarely stayed indoors. Homework finished quickly because outside was waiting. Football games started in empty lots. Girls played skipping games and hopscotch. Friends raced bicycles through quiet streets. Nobody needed organized activities. The entire village became a playground. Perhaps one of the biggest differences was that parents rarely worried. Every adult knew every child. If someone climbed a dangerous wall, 3 different neighbors would shout warnings. If someone misbehaved, the news somehow reached home before dinner. The neighborhood itself helped raise children. Another forgotten tradition involved local shops. Children often carried small coins to the bakery. The butcher. The fruit stand. The family grocery store. Shopkeepers knew their names. Sometimes they slipped an extra piece of candy into the bag. Sometimes they told stories about the child's grandparents. Shopping became part of daily life. Summer brought a completely different rhythm. School ended. Days felt endless. Children disappeared after breakfast and returned only when called home. They built forts. Climbed trees. Explored fields. Played hide and seek through ancient streets. Nobody carried a phone. If parents wanted their children, they simply called from the window. Somehow everyone heard. Grandparents played an enormous role in childhood. Many families lived close together. Children spent afternoons at a nonna's house. Fresh pasta dried in the kitchen. Tomato sauce simmered slowly. Bread waited on the table. Grandmothers always seemed to have something sweet hidden away. A cookie. A piece of cake. Fresh fruit. No grandchild ever left hungry. Grandfathers had their own traditions. They taught practical skills. How to fix a bicycle. How to plant tomatoes. How to fish. How to play cards. Lessons happened naturally. Nobody called them life skills. They were simply part of growing up. Another forgotten tradition involved Sunday. Sunday belonged to family. Children dressed in clean clothes. Mass for many families. Then the great Sunday lunch. Cousins arrived. Uncles argued. Aunts laughed. Grandparents sat proudly at the table. Lunch could last for hours. Children ate quickly and rushed outside to play together. Meanwhile, adults continued talking. Many childhood friendships lasted because of these Sunday gatherings. Italian festivals created magical memories. Village streets filled with lights. Music echoed through the night. Food stalls lined the roads. Children received sweets and small gifts. Fireworks exploded overhead. Entire communities celebrated together. Christmas carried its own traditions. Nativity scenes appeared in homes. Families baked special desserts. Children counted the days until gifts arrived. Grandparents told stories about Christmas from long ago. Simple moments became lifelong memories. Winter evenings were quieter. Families gathered around the television. But conversation remained important. Children played cards. Board games. Listened to stories. Grandparents often described their own childhoods. Those stories connected generations. Food itself shaped childhood. Pizza was special. Fresh bread arrived daily. Seasonal fruit tasted different because it actually followed the seasons. Summer meant peaches and watermelon. Autumn brought chestnuts and grapes. Winter meant soups and hearty meals. Children learned patience because not everything was available all year. Helping at home formed another forgotten tradition. Children set the table. Watered gardens. Fed animals. Helped grandparents with small chores. Responsibility arrived early. Nobody considered these tasks unusual. Pocket money worked differently too. Many children received only small amounts. They learned to save. To wait. To appreciate simple pleasures. A single ice cream could become the highlight of an entire afternoon. One of the most beautiful traditions involved neighbors. Children belonged to the whole community. An elderly woman across the street watched them play. A baker offered fresh bread. A fruit seller shared cherries. People looked after one another. As years passed, life slowly changed. Cars filled the streets. Television became more important. Cities grew larger. Families moved farther apart. Computers arrived. Then mobile phones. Then social media. Children spent more time indoors. Village squares grew quieter. Old games disappeared. Local shops closed. Grandparents lived farther away. The simple traditions of childhood slowly changed. Yet many older Italians smile when they remember those years. Not because life was perfect. Money could be scarce. Homes were smaller. Families worked hard. But childhood felt connected. Connected to family. Connected to neighbors. Connected to seasons. Connected to traditions. Perhaps that is why old photographs of Italian childhood seem so powerful. A bicycle leaning against a stone wall. Children chasing a football through a dusty square. A grandmother waiting by an open window. Fresh bread cooling on a kitchen table. Friends laughing as the church bells ring in the distance. These ordinary moments became extraordinary memories. And perhaps the greatest forgotten tradition of all was this. Children were rarely entertained. They learned to create their own adventures. They built friendships that lasted decades. They discovered that happiness could come from simple things. A game. A family meal. A summer evening. A walk through the village. A grandparent's story. And although the world has changed, those memories remain a reminder that some of life's greatest joys were never expensive. They were simply shared with the people who mattered most. That old Italian childhood may be fading into history. But for those who lived it, it will always feel like home.